You know, ranch work is a loose term for deer camp work, really, for us. And deer camp work is pretty wide-ranging. And as such, we cover a lot of ground and do a lot of things. And to do a lot of things, it may mean just, driving around, looking at projects that we've got to do, or trying to locate new stands, and that's a huge benefit of our side-by-sides in that case, because we're generally off the beaten path, trying to go down some other trails or old two tracks and get into areas. It's amazing what you can find when you start driving around and looking. The other thing about a side-by-side that I really like in Texas, it's a little more social the way we tend to hunt around our deer camp. There's gonna be 2 to 4 to 6 people on some of these trips going out, and you can all pile in there comfortably. You get the feeling of the open air while you're riding around, going to and from your stand. The ability to pick up game animals after you've had success, the ability to haul a lot of corn around if we're filling feeders, haul items around to fix fences, just really whatever it may be. And that's why I think that they're such a useful tool.
Useful tool is right, and Yamaha has come out with its latest side-by-side, the Wolverine R-Max 2 and R-Max 4 1000 XTR. Let's hear more about it from Yamaha's Scott Newby and how this side-by-side has everything you need to get the job done around the deer lease and while hunting.
Great thing about the all-new R-Max 1000. For one, it's still a proven off-road vehicle. It's reliable, it's durable like everything else we have. It has class-leading suspension, class-leading performance, an all-new 1000cc engine to it. But for your average utility guy, your average hunter, it's versatility overall. You can go out on the trail. We have a selectable drive mode where there's crawl, trail, and sport. And if you're loaded down and you're coming up on some real rocky stuff or even some, steep uphill climbs, you put the drive mode into crawl, and when you're crawling up there, it just has that smooth throttle response. So it's not going to be real choppy, and we have the class-leading suspension that's on it is 3-way adjustable. So if you want to set it to something that's really soft, you can just have a smooth, comfortable ride throughout. And if you want to go through the rough stuff when you're kind of in your recreational leisure activities with the family, it's completely capable with that as well. Plenty of accessories. There's over 100 accessories we already have available for the R-Max 1000. Full cabin closure system. If you're out there hunting on a cold day, if you're working on a cold day, that cabin closure system is there ready to go for you, including a heater kit. You have gun scabbards on the back. Everything's available through shopyamaha.com. Pretty much anything that you need to get you going. And it all goes all the way down to some soft touch points we have in the interior. Our vehicles are always about capability, comfort, and confidence. So those soft touch points in the interior, you're gonna have a comfortable drive there, whether it's the suspension, whether it's those soft touch points, or just knowing that you're gonna be able to get to where you need to go, get back. And if that's hauling a 2,000-pound load or having a bed full of 600 pounds of gear, no matter what, the Yamaha's gonna take you there and back. So one thing at Yamaha that we definitely pride ourselves on is that we truly do want our vehicles to be proven off-road. They're going to be reliable, they're going to be durable, and that's all because we know that you're putting your hard-earned money into it. We want to make sure you're getting that back out of it. And that goes all the way down to our proven technologies like our on-command system, our Ultramatic system. So much so we're backing all that stuff up with a 10-year belt warranty. That's something that's never been in the industry. It's pretty much unheard of, but again, we want to have that standard for you. So the last thing you need to think about is your vehicle. All you have to focus on is having a good time and realizing your adventure.
Learn more by going to YamahaOutdoors.com or visit your local Yamaha dealer. Coming up, we'll give you some tips on picking a location for a deer stand. Before the break, we talked about the new Yamaha R-Max side-by-side series and how we use it on our deer lease. And our favorite way to use it is to scout new locations to set up a deer stand.
Setting up of stands and pop-ups, my gosh, that's one of my favorite things. I can drive around all day long. In fact, I think I probably drive a lot of our team nuts because I'm always driving around, I'm looking like this, I'm running into trees and backing into trees. Hey, let's look at that. And bailing out and running off in the bushes, and they're like, oh no, here goes Wade on another goose chase. He's seen a tree. And man, I just love that. I just think that's the coolest thing. And what I'm doing in my mind is I'm painting that picture of what's going to happen somewhere down the road. Whether we're throwing a ladder stand up, a tripod up, throwing a pop-up up, that on this wind and this condition at this time of the year, we're going to get something big coming down this hill. And sometimes I totally whiff it, and we have to go move that because we've never seen a deer there. We get busted, but sometimes we get it right. And it's when you get it right and you find those unique places that just pay off, and and create the perfect scenario to where the cameraman can be over the shoulder and you can get those shots. And you know, the things that I'm looking for in those situations are a tree that's going to provide, you know, good cover. For me and a camera guy. Sometimes me, a camera guy, and a guide, you know, in that situation. I want good cover behind us where we're not skylighted. You know, leafy backdrops in the early season, but be thinking about December when all the leaves are gone. What's it going to look like? What's my prevailing wind? What is the winds that are going to be good to hunt this? You know, the best trees in the world may not be the best place to hunt because the wind isn't going to work, or the tree, you're too far from the trail, or the water source, or the feed source, whatever it may be. And then what kind of stand is going to work there? I love ladder stands. I think they're really a good, unique, comfortable way to hunt. Tripods are another phenomenal way that you can go up and you can kind of turn those. They generally are going to have a, you know, great rail for shooters to be able to set in. The hang-on stand is still arguably the most versatile one that you're going to find out there. And then, of course, there's the pop-ups and the box blinds. I mean, the multitude of options when it comes to setting up stands in various locations are endless. And so maybe that's why when I drive down the road, I'm always running into trees and looking around, because I'm always looking for a place for another stand and to create a new adventure and a new place to hunt. It's always fun to find new potential locations and kind of visualize how they're going to come together. We've got a spring-fed creek with a little pool right here below us, and really pretty, kind of a unique feature in this part of Texas. And then we're up on top of the creek bank right here, and it's a really well-used trail. You can see it right here. And what we've done is kind of come back here on this side and put some tripods up, kind of off the trail for a later in the year, actually be an early season hunt if you really think about it. Type of scenario. The sun will be setting over here, so it'll be real dark. Canopies will be full, so you know, you're planning right now for future hunts. It could be a month, it could be 6 months from now when you get the right conditions, but all that planning, all that preparation, goodwill, used trail, water source, it'll pay off down the road.
When we return, we'll talk about what kind of feeding program we implement on our deer lease. In this episode, we've gone over how and where we set up our deer stands. Now, we'll look into the type of supplemental feeding program we use to keep our deer herd healthy during the harsh conditions we sometimes face.
You know, another thing that we really focus on is making sure that we've got, you know, groceries for the deer. That's just a key thing. There's only so much that the native land can provide, and if you get in a stressed situation, and stressed to me would come in the forms of after the rut's over, it's, you know, winter time, and there's not a lot of new forbs, it's dry, there's just not a lot of things for a deer to eat to gain that weight back that he's lost while he's been, you know, running 5, 6, 7, 800,000 acres a day looking for girlfriends. So, you know, in that period and other periods of high stress, it's about providing a supplemental food source. That supplemental food source can be a multitude of things for people out there. Once again, I'm gonna look at our deer lease right here, right now as I'm talking about this. We don't have a lot of rain, so food plots are out of the equation. 20 inches over the last 20 months is not enough to have a sustainable food plot. So in that case, we create man-made food plots with protein feed. We use free choice protein feeders that a deer can come 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I do not like to hunt around those protein feeders. I want them to feel like this is a great sanctuary. They can come and go as they please to get feed. We feed Record Rack protein. It's a pellet form that really, you can buy it in bulk, or you can buy it in bags, depending on if you've got to fill a 2,000-pound feeder or a 200-pound feeder. Regardless of what you're pouring it into, you're going to gain benefit. You know, there's enhanced nutrition that's going to come right out of these. It's going to beat anything that they're pretty much eating out in the pasture in those types of situations where they're highly stressed out. So the end result of a free choice on-demand protein feeding program like that, using the Record Rack feed that we use, is your deer are going to be in better condition. They're going to be healthier. They're going to have a higher fat content. They're going to have possibly even bigger antlers a lot of times. I mean, there's a lot of people talk about a 10 to 25% increase on the right deer out there because of the nutritional benefit and value they're going to get from eating a product like the Record Rack out there. The other thing that I really notice is having a protein feeding program brings in a lot of other game. In this part of Texas, there's a lot of free-ranging axis, fallow, aoudad, and occasionally other species. I mean, we've got 6 to 9 red stag running around on this property right now. No idea where they came from, but they're here, and they really are drawn to that protein as well because of that nutritional value and the ability to eat it in tough conditions like we're dealing with now. So when you look at a feeding program, that's the base, that is the anchor, that's the end-all be-all, I believe, when it comes to creating a 12-month-a-year program out there. And you can, like I said, you can deploy it in 50-pound bags or out of bulk, out of blowing it out of feed haulers. We do both, and really reap the benefits for a lot of our hunting situations. The next thing that we do is have timer corn feeders. This is more of an attractant, but it benefits those wild game, once again, in periods of good and bad conditions out there. This type of a corn feeder is synonymous with Texas. Now they're basically all over the nation, but really, if you look at their growth and where they exploded, it kind of comes out of Texas. I like to set mine to go off 7 to 7:30 in the mornings and 4 to 4:30 in the afternoons, adjusted for daylight savings time in the summer. And your feed rate will be based on the consumption or the amount of game that's in that particular area. The benefits to your whitetail deer are, they're getting something to eat, fill their tummy at various times. It cannot be the end-all be-all to their diet, but it helps them a lot. And it attracts them to your hunting locations, which is fun. You don't want to go sit someplace and never see a deer. And I know there's people out there that say baiting is bad. Hey, if you don't want to do it, don't do it. I'm going to do it in a lot of places where it's legal because I enjoy to see a lot of game, and I know the end result of a feeding program benefits my property and our ability to harvest some quality deer. That's kind of the multi-phased approach that I like to use to really increase the quality of our deer herd, especially, really no matter what, but especially in those times where the game is stressed. I'm going to increase the amount of feed I'm going to put out. When Mother Nature is taking care of good things out there, I'll decrease it, but I never, ever quit my feeding programs once I start them on a hunting lease.
After the break, we'll wrap up our episode by giving you tips on how to properly set up your feeders.
Ultimate feeder pen right here.
As we wrap up our episode touring our deer lease and what all goes into hunting and managing a specific piece of property, there's one more thing to discuss, and that's deer feeders.
Setting up feeders, corn feeders and your free choice feeders, there's a lot that goes into that. It's not just go out and throw it up in a field and think you're going to have success. You're going to pull something in, sure. But there are, I believe, situations where you can really use it to your benefit to make it easier to hunt and or create a sanctuary where you're not going into those areas. For me, what I like to do is find an area that I think is going to be a great hunting spot, and we kind of walk around, we locate the spots for the stand. At the same time, we're looking at where's the nearest water source, where's the best place to put the feeders up in that area, be it a corn feeder or a free choice feeder, whatever it may be, and kind of create an area. That type of a scenario, I think, really pays to the benefit of your game management program and your attraction capabilities to an area. Your traditional corn feeder that you're going to put up that goes off at whatever times that you set it to and whatever amount that you set it to is of high value in a lot of those situations to provide both supplemental feed, but once again, the attraction into those situations. The downside to those types of feeders is you can bring in some undesirables, cattle, hogs, sheep, depending on what's in that area. And if that is the case, then you need to learn how to fence that feeder off. This is a perfect example of what I call your Texas hunting pen, for lack of a better word, to protect your feeders from the undesirable animals in a lot of cases. What we like to do, and you can see in this particular one here, is we're using a preset made of fencing that actually kind of goes together right here. You can slide it in, you don't have to drive T-posts at all. It already has a really big, basically a hog panel built into it, and then we'll cut areas into it to make it easier for the deer to jump in, but we don't give up the ability to keep the hogs out, keep sheep out, and keep cattle out. which if you're doing a protein feeding program, a free choice one like what we've got right here behind me using a Boss Buck feeder, Kevin's putting record rack pellets into it right now. I mean, everything's drawn to that. Everything wants to eat it, and you don't want everything eating it. You don't want the hogs in there. You don't want the cattle in there. You don't want the sheep in there. And so a pen like this protects your investment and ensures that everything you're feeding is only going to the deer or turkeys that are going to fly over it in that situation. Next to that, we've got a corn feeder that we can crank up and down, set that as a timer type situation. That's an attractant in that sense there. It goes off at 7, it goes off however many times you want it, whatever time that you want to set it based on the scenario. We usually set ours between 7 and 7:30 in the morning and 4 and 5 in the evenings. Occasionally throw some midday timers in for turkeys as well to kind of supplement them. And then we'll throw a record rack deer block in the middle of this as well about every time we go out, because that kind of adds to the attractiveness, adds to the the nutritional value that all of our game are getting in here. And the end result is we're basically creating a buffet for the deer, and we're protecting it by having a fence around here. A lot of people will go out with T-posts and hog wire or bob wire, and it's a lot of manual labor to do that. And what I found using those type, and we have some of those, but what I found with those type of pens, they get damaged. The cattle will jump them, they'll lean over and push it down. They don't make them big enough in a lot of cases, and they end up failing long term. So a scenario like this with the proper tools will, I believe, pay off a lot better in the long run for your nutritional goals for helping your whitetail herd.
If you're looking for a feeder option that may not require building a pen around it, our friends at SpinTech have built a rugged and durable 700-pound stand and fill feeder that is perfect for hunters with a high population of cattle, hogs, or acrobatic raccoons that are looking for a sturdy feeder that is easy to fill.
Okay, so for the last 20 years or so, we've had a lot of tripod, a lot of crank-up feeder. I think it started with more of the tripod style where you need to climb a ladder, build some sort of stand to get up there, haul your bags up there and throw them into the feeder. And that's obviously a hassle, it's obviously dangerous. You're hauling 50-pound bags up and down a ladder till you're getting tired. So then we come out with the crank up. I mean, everyone used the crank up at some point. You crank it up, crank it down, fill it up, crank it back up. I mean, that gets old. That does get old. As much as it's easy, it does get old to do it, especially when you're dealing with 700-pound barrel feeders. I mean, that kind of thing gets real heavy. So might as well make it as easy as possible, and that's the stand and fill idea. Everyone's moving stand and fill now. We're jumping on there too, but we're putting our own stamp on the thing. It's our 700-pound stand and fill feeder. We built this one with hunters in mind more so than any other feeder we've ever done. We thought of every potential issue a feeder could have, and we addressed it with this unit. Extremely rugged, has panel along the sides and the bottom, so you're protected in your componentry area. You have our leak-proof technology applied to it, meaning it's even more leak-proof than it already is. If you bump against it, nothing's gonna leak out of it. A lot of hogs, especially here in Texas, so we built a feeder that can withstand those. So in addition to it being tightly welded to start, we added that side panel for extra protection. Lower to the ground, it's stand and fill, so it's a lot easier to fill for hunters that don't feel like cranking or climbing up a ladder or anything like that. Just walk up to it, open it. You got a kickstand to keep it open. You just pour your feet in, however way you do it. It's really multifaceted. It's on one end, it's very rugged. On the other end, it's portable. It's easy to move around because it's on skids, meaning you can drag it. You can haul it around. It's pretty easy to manipulate, even though it's bigger. There's really no setup. When you pick it up or you get it shipped out to you, it's ready to go right away. It's also very easy to secure and stake down. So it has a lot of positive aspects working towards it. It's extremely rugged. That's the main thing we're trying to hammer home on these. They're meant to hold up to cattle, anything that can potentially come up against it. Kind of the perfect feeder in our opinion here.
For more information on this feeder and other great outdoor products, visit spintechspreaders.com. Let's wrap up the show as we tear down an old deer blind, and be sure to drop us an email at info@deergeartv.com with any questions about the show or to share a hunting story.
1, 2, 3.
Kind of anticlimactic.